Welcome to Witchy Shit by Design, the podcast where we call out old patterns, dismantle the conditioning of a patriarchal society, and reclaim the power that was never meant to be given away. I'm your host, Michaela Stone, behavior analyst, human design strategist, lifelong nomad, and professional life untangler. Here, the conversation is spicy, guided by a no-bullshit, wise woman perspective that says what needs to be said. This podcast is for those who are done living under invisible rules that keep them running in ever smaller circles, and who are ready to design a life that actually feels like their own. Through solo episodes and conversations with guests who are magical by practice, magical by nature, or a powerful blend of both, we explore the many pathways to personal sovereignty. If you're ready for truth, transformation, and a little witchy wisdom along the way, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Let's dive into the witchy shit by design. Hi, welcome to Witchy Shit by Design. I'm your host, Michaela Stone, and today it's just me, no guests, but we're going to talk about the Cassandra effect, where you see everything and trust nothing. I'm going to jump straight in because, hey, it's just me. And there's just you, right? Let's hang out together and have this conversation. So there's a very specific kind of woman this episode is for. And I'm not going to try and make this universal. So if this is you, you'll know, you'll feel it. You'll absolutely recognize yourself. So here we go. If you're the right person, you are the one who can read a room in seconds. You don't need the words. You don't need explanations. You just know when something's off. Energy shifts, tone changes, the thing underneath the thing. You catch it all. And let's be honest, you're right. Yeah? So here's the part that doesn't get said enough, though. When you can see everyone else with crystal clarity and still hesitate when it comes to trusting yourself, that's not irony. It really isn't ironic. It's conditioning. So I'm going to say something that might feel a little too close to home, a little too close to be comfortable, but you learned to read people before you learned to read a book, didn't you? Yeah, you've heard me say that before, right? Well, let's continue. Because this isn't some cute sort of initiative or intuitive gift that just showed up one day. It's not your intuitive voice coming online and, oh, wow, look at me, I have heightened intuition. I hear this a lot, but no, it's actually survival. That's what you've got. Your antennae are on fire, looking for where is it safe? Where is it dangerous? Like you are looking without even being aware of it. If you breathe, you're doing this thing. It's your survival. So when you grow up in an environment that's unpredictable, unsafe, where what's said doesn't necessarily match what's happening, you adapt and fast. You start scanning who's in a good mood, who's about to snap. What version of me can keep this situation stable? Do I need to run? Am I okay here? And you become exceptionally good at this. And that's when you're a kid. Now, this skill, it looks like intuition. It really does. And we can talk about what intuition actually sounds like on another episode, not today. But you might even see this as emotional intelligence, right? Wow, you're so perceptive. Yes, you are. Absolutely. You have nailed that skill set, no question. But let's not romanticize how all that started, because the same environment that trained you to see everything taught you something else, didn't it? It taught you that it wasn't safe to speak about what you saw. So you became like Cassandra. Now, if you don't know her story, she could see the truth. She could predict what was coming. And I call that rapid pattern recognition. Nobody believed her. And that's because if you don't have the ability to recognize patterns that way, you can't see it. And so anybody that does becomes kind of weird, or, oh, you're just talking. There's lots of minimizing words, and I'm sure you've heard them all, right? But The thing here is when nobody believes you, you also stop trusting yourself. You stop believing yourself because, hey, everybody can't be wrong, right? And does anybody give you backup? No, typically not, right? The life of a person using pattern recognition tends to be rather difficult to tread because it's like you need to balance that line, right? Because people won't believe you. But if you don't say something, then what? So this is a dilemma, right? So eventually you just realize that making these comments, telling people what's coming, recognizing things out loud brings consequences. So now you still see everything, but instead of saying something like, hey, I know what's happening here and this is where it's going to go, you start thinking, am I overthinking this? Maybe I'm being too sensitive. I should give them the benefit of the doubt, right? So you dilute or even silence that knowing that you have. You filter your instincts. You delay your decisions. You look for someone else to be the authority, to verify that what you want to do is okay, right? You make like you don't have that clarity, but yeah, you do. You have the clarity, you just don't have the self-trust. And that's because you learned that clarity wasn't safe to act on. Now this shows up everywhere: relationships at work, relationships at home, even in your parenting style. It shows up, it gets in the way, it blocks you from where you really want to be and the things you really want to do. Self-trust is going to be a key piece here, because right now you're staying in conversations longer than you should. You stay in relationships longer than you should. Hell, you enter them when you shouldn't, right? And by should and shouldn't, I'm not using somebody else's description here. This is, it's not right for you, but you're going to go ahead and do it anyway, right? Because, well, that's the safest way to not rock anybody's boat. God forbid you do that. Okay, so you explain things that aren't right. And here's a key too: you work on making sure that the other person is safe, or if they've done something really mean to you, you'll explain away their behavior before you ever look at yourself to see, how am I feeling? What am I going to do with this emotion? What do I need to do next? You don't even think about that because you're too busy worrying about everybody else. And that's what makes you the kind of person who's out there helping other people. You're probably even a coach, aren't you? If you're not a coach, maybe you're a therapist. And if you're not officially either of those, I'll bet you are in your spare time, because you want to make sure that other people are okay. And you typically tend to forget you. So when that tension builds and you kind of don't know what to do with it, that's when things like self-regulation come in, but not the healthy kind. It's maybe overeating. Maybe it's too much wine. Maybe it's working harder or diving into the phone and just scrolling like a champion and absorbing all the crap that they foist on you. It's control, collapse, repeat. And all of this isn't because you don't know what's going on. You are keenly aware of what's going on, but acting on it would change things. Okay, now here's the real edge, because there's a line here, and typically we don't name it. There's the version of you who is still identified with that pattern, with that minimizing, with that self minimizing so that you stay safe. A version of safe. Safe in this case means less visible, right? And if you're a coach, particularly, you probably really want to be visible, but you really don't want to be visible. And those two things are happening at the same time because there's different versions of you. The other version of you is the one that's done negotiating with this crap, right? The first one says, well, this is just how I am. I've always been this way. And yeah, I can see it's not working, but I don't know what else to do. So, I'll just keep doing the thing. And the second one says, I can't keep doing this. Fuck it. I am done. And that version of you is not looking for more insight. She's drowning in insight. That version of you is looking for something else. Can you guess what it is? It's permission, which incidentally is tied to Lilith, but we will get to this in a moment. So permission to trust what you already see, permission to stop explaining everything over and over, permission to act before you feel 100% sure of yourself. If that's where you are, then you have a turning point right now, because your pattern recognition is not the problem. It never was the problem. It's the hesitation that comes after it, the doubt, the override. That's the part that keeps you stuck. So let me ask you something. Where in your life are you already clear and yet you still hesitate? Not confused, not unsure. You are clear. In that place, I invite you to do your shadow work, to look into, why are you hesitating in this space? Why are you holding yourself back even when you know damn well you're right? What comes up for you? Whose voice is it that you hear? Because you don't need another framework. You don't need another deep dive into your past. Good Lord, who needs that? You don't need another explanation even of why you are the way you are. You know. Your work is to follow that knowing. And no, it doesn't mean blowing your life up overnight, tempting though that may be, I don't know. But this isn't performative empowerment, right? This is more precise than that. It's not reactive. We're talking about noticing when your body tightens and resists. Don't push through that. Notice when something feels off, and don't explain it away. Stop yourself. Even though your body moves forward, kind of wanting to do that explanation, the words are there. Just blow them out like you're blowing out a candle, but do not say them. Do not explain away. Notice when you're overriding yourself and try pausing instead. The kind of pause that isn't hesitation, but just one where you're giving yourself some space to say, hey, hang on a minute. I'm not doing this. I am not going to override myself. I know I've got this. These are small moments, but they matter. And every time you trust yourself, even a little bit more, you are rewiring something very old. You're teaching your system it's safe to see, it's safe to know, and it's safe to act. And that's where your power actually is. Not in the ability to see things. We know you can do that. It's kind of a gift that was given to you in unfortunate circumstances, but that's not the big thing. The big thing is trusting what you see. Because the truth is, you were never wrong. You were just early. And now you're not in that kind of environment anymore. You get to decide what happens next. You can actually make a decision with your big girl panties on. So I'm going to leave you with this. You don't need more clarity. You need to stop abandoning the clarity you already have. That's the work. That's the shadow work. That's the edge. And that's your reclamation. And if this hit, well, yeah, you already know, right? So welcome to Witches Ship by Design. This is where we stop pretending we don't see what we see, and we start living like we trust it. What do you think of that?